Here. AJ and I went down to the Secretary of State's office the other day because I told you last time we were getting this royal runaround about whose bailiwick it is to say whether we can file a petition or not file a petition, or who has authority over it, or who can approve it, or blah, blah, blah. So we thought maybe if we were in person, we might get a different story, which is pretty much not the case. So anyway, we talked to one gal who sent us to another gal who came up and told us that basically she doesn't know anything, so she called a gal up in Carson City who supposedly has all the info we needed, and she pretty much told us the same thing. If we are, and I guess this is what we have to establish, is this a legislative issue we have to deal with? Is this a county issue we have to deal with? Is it a combination of the two? And if so, how does the combination break down? So if it's legislative, and I believe it is, because the state legislature mandated that counties over 400,000 population have to be fluoridated in Nevada. So that puts Washoe and Clark County as being those that have to be fluoridated. I think Nye County is getting close, and so it's looking like that's going to start affecting them here pretty soon. But if that's the case and it's legislatively mandated, then we have to work with the legislature to
undo what they did,
or create another law that effectively negates it, because nobody goes back on the books and takes a law off ever.
No. I can say that I looked it up with AJ, and it is in the Nevada revised statutes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and this is the funny part, is you talk to people that are supposed to know, and they don't know squat. And so she's saying, well, if it's legislative, then blah, blah, blah. And if it's county, then this is who you call. So, of course, she gives me Larry Lomax's information, like we're going to get any kind of action out of him. But I still contend, and I did with her, that this was legislatively mandated. That being the case, we missed the deadline for the petition, which was November 13th. So we can't petition the state legislature until the 2015 legislative session. So what we decided to do is work directly with the legislators that we got elected, or that we contributed to getting elected, and just start putting mega pressure on them. Either repeal the law or craft another law that will effectively neuter that one.
I have a question though. If a state mandates you do something, does that mean you have to do it, or can you pay a fine to not do it?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I don't think you're going to get anybody in the county willing to stick their neck out and require the county to pay some kind of fine associated with not mandating the fluoridation.
Well, I was just thinking, what if we could convince them that it was cheaper than the $750,000 you pay for the fluoride?
Who is it that makes the decision?
That's a problem.
That's the question of the year.
Who did we delegate the authority to medicate us?
It is the Water Reclamation office, which is technically a county office, even though they work under the auspices of the water district.
They must have a director or somebody in charge.
They do, and I've been chasing him down for over a month.
Pardon?
I've been chasing him down for over a month. He will not respond by email. He will not call you back. He will not take your calls.
We need to go.
What's his name?
I have it
Let's find out where his office is.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
I think that's next to my computer at home. Martin, something Martin, either somebody Martin or Martin somebody, but it's next to my computer at home. So that might be somebody, if you can actually get to him, that could, trigger the dominoes falling. If he sees, like you said, if he sees the relationship between what they're paying to buy the fluoride essentially for the process versus an opt-out.
Yeah, or even if maybe we could even get it into the public sphere of discussion, that people would be, hearing the talking point, then we would be.
And I think the biggest issue, honestly, if we could do that, would be to, of course, it's drugging you without permission, and it's drugging you without any controls, depending on how much water you drink or how much fluoride you take in from other sources.
Poisoning us, right? Not
Exactly.
just drugging.
Well, I think it would be more effective if we talked about it being
A drug.
Because people are going to relate a little bit more to that. I'm being drugged?
Yes.
Really?
Because you are.
we hear so much about being poisoned, on every level, in our food, in our water, in our
Oh,
air.
people
in our,
don't respond to poison, but they think it's bad if you
I
if you
think
say
they might,
drugs.
because so
Yeah,
many
I'd have
of
to
them
agree.
are, so
Huh?
many people
I agree.
are on prescription
Doesn't make
drugs.
sense.
When you relate it as well,
It's a
no
connotation.
control over your dosage, it makes
Yeah.
more sense when you have it in the
Makes
context
you
of
sound less like a
medication than
conspiracy theorist.
poison.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So we want to go for a credibility factor,
Yeah.
which just says this
Yeah, we're
is
trying to skirt the conspiracy theorist label, huh?
Because you don't want people going out what a whack job type of thing.
Yeah,
so
they don't
Isn't it in
believe the
Prozac?
textbook.
Fluoride
Yes,
is in
yes,
Prozac,
it is.
yes.
What?
So it's like having an uncontrolled level of Prozac in your drinking water or in your toothpaste or wherever
rat
else you're
poison.
getting it. Mhm.
Well, this is not uncontrolled.
Have
It's
you-
just that it's the same across everyone's dose, no matter how big or how small you are, right?
Right, or it just depends on what your intake of the substance is.
And we're getting it even if we had a fluoride filter at your house. If you go to a restaurant and you order iced tea and they don't have a fluoride filter, you're getting it there, right? Or coffee
And
or
a lot of people
anything at a
think
restaurant.
they are
Well, you go wash your hands anywhere.
shower.
Shower.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
people who think that their water filters are filtering out fluoride, for the most part, they're not, because the micron size of the filter has to be so small that they don't usually put it in water filters that people can afford.
Yeah, and they use it in your bottled water, right?
And and most of the water companies are still allowing fluoridated water in their bottled water.
Well, they actually mandate it in the
They mandate
NRS,
that If the population is at a certain level, they have to put it in the bottled water.
Yeah.
or they have to use it.
Getting back to the authority,
Mhm.
what is Southern Nevada Water Authority? Do you have any? Have you run into that particular bureaucracy in your?
Well, not in this go around, but we sure were dealing with them when we were trying to get them to not do it in the first place.
What was the result of that?
They did it anyway, and then they let the people vote on it.
They
After
put it
they
in the
put it in.
water and then they let you vote on it. So it was a fait accompli before we ever got to vote.
Yeah, but
And then they misworded
Yes.
the
the
thing is,
voting, and they blamed that for the reason.
If they would have voted no, they still would have kept it in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't
No
matter.
kept it.
the,
and
No
yes,
kept
the
it, yes,
question that I'm
yeah.
asking is here, who is Southern Nevada Water Authority? You have the Clark County Water District, you have the state, you have the Clark County or Las Vegas Valley Water District on Charleston and Valley View, right?
Right.
Then you have the Southern Nevada Water Authority that has on a huge sign on a highly expensive building downtown. Who are they?
I believe they fall under the NGO.
A non-governmental organization. Okay.
So they're part of the ICLEI Agenda 21 implementation.
That's what I wanted somebody to tell me, because that's what I was.
So in our eyes, they're
assuming.
illegitimate.
Yes.
Their very existence is illegitimate.
They're one of the quasi-governmental, corporate government intertwined messes that we're dealing with.
We have to. What we have to do is separate, in my opinion, what we have to do is to separate the government from the private and get the ICLEI group identified.
And all their tentacles.
But if we get just Pat Mulroy
Yeah.
as a United Nations agent, we got we got him because the United Nations is getting heat. I mean, from every
Of course
quarter.
they are. Yeah.
So if you can tie her into that, because she gets like $250,000 a year, expenses, and she's got an expensive office. She does nothing.
Right.
Well,
She allows the slush fund to
Yeah.
continue pretty much.
And
She's the conduit, but that's about it.
this thing about getting water from White Pine County, God, what a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we can find out who the Southern Nevada Water Authority is and exactly where that authority comes from, that is, I think that we will.
That would be the linchpin.
Well,
I think
Really
that
right
that's.
Robert, what does that have to do with the actual state mandate? How does that relate? I mean, like when the state mandates you do something, I mean, how does?
Well, what they do is just what you run into with these people that give you the runaround. Nobody knows anything about anything.
Ignorance
And the
is
buck
so
never stops
convenient.
anywhere.
No.
It
Yeah.
just keeps going round and round in a circle, and
No
so
one
if
wants
the
to be
state has a
accountable,
mandate,
for
they have
They don't wanna
to.
deal
They
with it.
have to. There are rules and regulations. There's the Nevada revised statutes
Yes.
and the Nevada NAS, whatever that means.
It's the NRS, Nevada Revised
Nevada
Statute.
Administrative Code.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the NRS
NAS.
though. I'm
Right.
saying it's in the NRS.
NAS is Administrative Code.
Right. These are the rule making groups
Right.
that make that. We got to find out who made the rule. We got a law. Who implemented the law? The law is implemented by the rule.
Trace it back to the source, right? The creator of that.
Pardon me?
Trace it back to the creator of that law.
Well, who is the guy? Somebody signed a piece of paper saying you do this, and then somebody else said this is how you do it. The guy who said how you do it is the guy we need to talk to, or the woman, because now we have somebody that's responsible. We have a responsible party.
So like the
And-
legislature as a whole is not.
The legislature as a whole is. I think that what you suggested, going to the that the individual legislators
That's what I just asked her.
is exactly what has to happen. We have to bring it to their attention, and we have to bring it to their attention almost on a daily basis from now until the end of the session.
And the problem with bringing it to their attention, which is true, but it has to be brought to their attention within the context of the
Their rules,
understanding that
yeah.
they don't have. None of them has an understanding.
None,
Of how all
what
this
you do is you tell them, you are working for me. Do not try to confuse the issue. I sent an email last night. I got a petition, and it said, as your constituent.
Oh, I know, you love that one, don't you?
I scratched
Strike
that
that
out right now. As my agent in Washington, D.C., it is my duty to tell you how to conduct my business.
I like that.
Isn't that perfect?
That is the attitude you have to take. That is the absolute attitude that you have to take. I am nobody's constituent.
Well, just-
I'm not a member of anything.
In
I
my
have
opinion,
membership in something. I own it. Nobody owns me but me and God.
thank you.
Yeah, we're the government, and there's our
And that
servants.
is the
They're our
attitude.
agents.
You never
Right.
elevate them over you.
That is,
No, you're right, Glenn.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I got a nice email
We are the
from
government.
you the other
They
day,
are
too.
our servant
A nice one
agents.
for
Yeah.
me.
Glenn Hellman?
Yes.
I think when we
Richard.
contact these state legislators, that most of them are not going to know what the heck we're talking about, and we're going to have to educate
You have to
them
tell them
about-
how to do their job.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
What, they probably don't know about NGOs. They probably don't know where the pecking order is.
Barry Herr was a prime example.
Yeah,
Michelle.
exactly.
Well, maybe we have to do exactly what the lobbyists do: is we have to write the legislation for them,
You got
and
it.
then get someone that will be agreed to introduce it in the
Introduce it
legislation,
and
then when we
gather
put the heat on
comments.
everybody else, please pass this bill, anti-fluoridation bill, whatever the number is, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Do you know Michelle Fiore?
We have till December
correspond
10th to write
through
the
Facebook
legislation?
and
To
emails
have it
occasionally. I have
introduced.
never met
Why?
her face to face.
Kids
Why
are
so
going
early?
in.
She is
That's
foul
just the
mouthed.
way it is.
She is
That's what we're
aggressive,
battling with the
and she
NDA.
Makes great
is-
pasta.
abrasive.
I mean, I'm from
And
states of California.
If
as a
you
full-time
get
legislature.
her
I
on
think
your
Illinois does.
side,
Florida. I mean, what is this?
Ours
4
meets
months every 2 years.
she
For 4
will
months. It's
she'll stomp all over everybody in the legislature.
How
Do you know
funny.
Michelle?
No.
She is.
Did she get
She's
elected?
incredible.
Right?
She's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. I would not want to sit down and have a beer with her. However,
Pasta.
if you want something done, she will get it done.
So how do we get in touch with her to do it? Or should we?
Well,
arrange a
why
meeting or
why
what?
don't
I'm
one
looking
of you
for-
ladies?
Glenn says it's December 10th is the deadline, right? To introduce a bill in the legislature.
There's no
They
such
told
thing
us-
as a deadline.
they
That's
told us-
their deadline. I don't have one.
but
You don't have
They
one.
told us.
Don't get yourself in that habit of putting up with
That
their
13th was the petition.
Yeah, who's deadline?
stuff.
Legislation.
Do you have a deadline?
So confused. 'cause
No,
it was
no.
a-
My
it's
boss-
done, right?
my
Your
boss
health, safety, and
told me-
welfare depends on it.
This date, this
Right.
date.
Well, and
My
that's-
boss,
have a
my
deadline.
boss told me I was writing for a newspaper. He said,
Gives a crap.
"Okay, you got to get this in." I said, "Is that a deadline?" He said, "Yep." I said, "I'm dead.
How obnoxious we get, how pushy we
Don't do that to me. I own me. You own you.
Right.
That's their deadline. It is not yours. It is not Steve's."
Okay, well, in the same vein, what Michelle was saying, he said something about quasi-governmental agency. Okay, well, in my opinion, for the government to poison me without my consent is a criminal act. For a private person or private group to poison me without my consent is absolutely a criminal
And they're
act.
charging you to do it. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
you
on
know.
Or
your
someone
bill.
who has taken an oath to defend your health,
Does it say
safety,
fluoridation
and
on the
welfare.
bill?
So if these people are a quasi-governmental agency, I say we go grab them by the nuts, excuse me, and
Go
sue
right
their
ahead,
asses.
sir. We've all heard that.
I was thinking, this is interesting. That's one angle to go, right? We have another angle. Was the what other angles do we have? Maybe we should make a note of like these options to attack. them.
Absolutely, let's write it all down.
Everybody would,
I think it's time for a class action suit.
a letter, but everybody has their own idea. What I say doesn't fit what Steve says at all. We argue all the time.
I know.
But I love the guy and respect his opinion. But the same with you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to want what I write. You're not going to want to say that.
Yeah, but I think
I like Dirk's idea, class action suit.
So he goes.
Yeah.
So
Has anybody been to We Are Change Tampa?
No.
That's the largest city in the world that was formerly fluoridated and now isn't.
Yeah.
And I went on their website and I was at the law library and they wouldn't allow me to. They had to update their videos, and I couldn't get their videos. But that was where I wanted to start
yeah,
because
because
these people
if it's
have done
been
it.
done, yes,
I don't
why
want to.
reinvent
That's
I don't
right.
want to be regretted.
He's
I
right.
didn't do it.
I found that there is a group for Nevada that's been working on getting the fluoride removed.